Hi everybody, it's Gina and welcome to the Library Mouse. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. Hopefully you like something enough to stick around, subscribe, like, comment. I enjoy seeing who's watching my videos. So today I have a new tag video. Actually, I was just tagged on June 9th and today is the 15th. And it is the 101 Days of Summer tag. It was originally created by Duane at the Reading Room, and I was tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat. So thanks for tagging me because this sounds like a really fun tag to do. So the first prompt is barbecue time. Pick your favorite author, and they are inviting you to a barbecue to announce their newest work. What do you hope they announce, and what am I bringing? So one of my favorite authors is Elizabeth Berg. I am hoping that she is announcing a book with the characters from A Year of Pleasures. I loved that whole theme of that book, and I loved the characters in it. I would love to see what else they are doing, but it definitely does not have to be a sequel. Anything new that she would write that has to do with the average life of a middle-aged woman. She does it so well, and I would like her to focus on one character, not a lot of different characters. What am I bringing? Well, to be very transparent, I hate to cook. And so I usually bring watermelon or fruit salad, because that's just chop and throw in a bowl. But I also have a very good recipe for Rosa Marina, which I absolutely love. So maybe I'll bring some Rosa Marina to this barbecue. The second prompt is road trip. Pick a real world setting from a recent read. Where would it take you? So the most recent book that I have read is the book Memorial Days by Geraldine Brooks. It was a very good book. I enjoyed it a lot, and I had it on my list of books to read, but I mean, it hit close to home because it is a memoir about how the author deals with the grief of her husband's sudden passing. But if we were going to take a road trip based on that book, we could go to one of two places. One place which is very close by is Martha's Vineyard, because that is where she lived. And I have never been to Martha's Vineyard. I would love to go to Martha's Vineyard. The other place is where she goes to really think about her life and to really grieve in silence and to be alone. And that is a remote island off the coast of Australia, which I would love to do also. I have also never been to Australia. The only other country I've been to is Canada. So those would be the two places my most recent read would take me on a road trip. The third prompt is camping. Do you rough it? What are the required amenities? And what do I read? I love camping. When our children were little, we tent camped all the time. We would buy season passes to Six Flags, and we would go every year to a different Six Flags, and we would find the closest campground and we would tent camp. And then we would also tent camp in areas around us, and it was great. It was so much fun. We have camped all over. So as far as camping goes, I thoroughly enjoy it. But now, I don't love tent camping because I don't like the condensation on the tent and on my sleeping bag and on my pillow. I know. So I like roughing it. I would do a camping cabin. It doesn't even need electricity. Just the kind that has like the little wooden bunk beds. I would take that. The one thing that I don't enjoy about camping is if I have to use an outhouse. So I need to be close to the restrooms and they need to be clean. If it's glamping, I would prefer to have at least a toilet nearby. But as far as like camping in an RV, I don't need that. I can stay home. I can stay home and swim in my pool and sit around my fire pit and have no people around me, as opposed to being in a crowded campground, sitting in my RV doing that. So I'm not a big RV person. I like to rough it a little. I like to get back to nature a little. If I'm taking kids, I want them off their devices and I want them playing outside. I don't even care if they're bored. I want them all the time. And as far as what I would read, I'll tell you what I wouldn't read. I wouldn't read a scary story. But I would read pretty much anything else. I would probably just grab whatever books I am reading and stuff them in my bag. The only thing I would probably bring a real book, and I would bring a Kindle, because if I'm sitting outside and it's dark, I might be reading on my Kindle. But I probably wouldn't be reading in the dark. I'd probably just be staring at the fire. The next one is festival. I am attending a Booktube festival where you have to dress as your favorite literary character. Who do I dress as and why? So I was trying to think of an adult character, but the main character that comes to mind as far as dressing up would be Jo March. Little Women was just a really pivotal book for me. I got it when it was either my 9th or 10th birthday. I read it and read it and read it. I read it until the cover fell off. Then I bought a different copy of it. And while I read other Louisa May Alcott books like Little Men, nothing stayed with me as much as Little Women. I did have an affection to Jo March because she was the kind of person that I wish that I could be. I was definitely more of a Beth, and I really wanted to be able to be like Jo and to be able to just be my authentic self and to really not worry so much about what people thought of me. And so I think that's why, if I was going to dress as anyone in literature, I would pick Jo March, because she has been a character that has stuck with me since I was a child. The next is slice of life. What do you consider what do others consider mundane, but I don't see summer without it? What would be mundane to some people? The one thing for summer is suntan lotion smell. The smell of suntan lotion, I love that. Also, people might not notice, but when you live by a Great Lake, like Lake Erie or Lake Ontario, the trees that grow along the lake are different. And I don't know the name of them, but on one side of their leaves, they almost look silver. And when you're driving along the lake and the wind is blowing, these trees are so pretty. And as soon as I see those trees, I get very homesick. I love driving along the lake and seeing those trees. I love it. And some people might feel like that's a mundane thing, but it really, really does give me great pleasure. Also, coffee on the deck on a summer morning, you can't beat that. But summer wouldn't be summer without those things. The next prompt is scary story. Which author would I invite to go camping with, knowing that I'd want to hear their scariest story? Well, I don't like scary stories. So I don't know who I would invite, because I really don't read any authors that write scary stories. I definitely wouldn't invite somebody like Stephen King. It wouldn't be a man. It would be a woman. I have read a couple Tammy Hogue. Maybe a Tammy Hogue book. I'm really not the person to answer this question because I don't really read scary stories and I wouldn't want to hear any scary stories. So count me out on this one. Okay, the next prompt is first love or summer crush or romance. Romantic interest during the summer often leads to bittersweet ending or a lasting impact. Which do I prefer, and does the age of the character affect that decision? No, I would prefer a lasting impact in my first love summer crush book that I read. I think that I would like the character to get something out of that summer relationship and not just have a bittersweet ending about it. I would like somehow for that summer crush to be pivotal in their growth as a person. I just think it makes it more worthwhile. And I don't think the age of the character affects that decision. I would like that to be the case for every summer crush. Now, I know in real life that's not going to happen, but if I'm going to read a book that is all about a summer crush or a first love in summer, I would like the ending to be more than just bittersweet. I would like it to end so that we all get something worthwhile out of the relationship. The next prompt is nostalgia. What books instill an overwhelming sense of nostalgia or are attached to summer for me? One book that's both. And I feel like the books that are most nostalgic for me are books that I read as a child. A lot or most adult books I don't feel nostalgic about. Very few. But one book that really stands out to me is, and it's attached to summer because I remember reading it in summer, because the name of the book has summer in it, and that is a book called Thimble Summer. I believe it's by Elizabeth Enright. Let me take a look really quick. I would get this book out of the library every summer as a older elementary middle schooler. Yes, it is Thimble Summer by Elizabeth Enright. I just loved this book. And I also thought it was very cool because the main character's name had the same name as my mom, and it is not a common name. Her name is Garnet. and the main character was named Garnet. So this is a magical summer in this 9-year-old lives. Garnet Linden. She finds a silver thimble in the dried up riverbed, and she believes because after she finds it, it starts raining and ends the drought, that somehow this thimble is magical. And it was written, it's an older book. Okay, this book was written in 1938, and I found that books that were written in the 30s, especially for children, their chapters were very compartmentalized. Like you have a slightly main theme, but it really was a slice of life. Like, this is the chapter about the barn building, and this is the chapter about the country fair, and this is the chapter about the new dress. And they were connected, but the plot wasn't as specific, I guess I want to say, in books in the 1930s. I loved it because my mom was born in 1930, so she would have been just about the same age as this Garnet in this story. And actually it won a Newbery Medal in 1939. And to be honest, I would love to revisit this because if you don't know, I am rereading or reading for the first time as many Newberys as I can, and I've been trying to focus on one a month. So I had been trying to go in order backwards because I've read so many of the old ones, but you know, I think that I would like to read this again. So I'm going to put this on my TBR. What books do I recommend where summer is the main focus? Okay, I'm just going to recommend an author, and that is Ellen Hildebrand, Mary Kay Andrews. If you want a light summer read, just look at the covers. I will put some covers. They're all about summer. They are great beach reads. They're great pool reads. Highly recommend any of them. Pick one that has a beach on the cover and you are good to go. So, thanks for tagging me, Pat. This was a lot of fun. I love summer. I love being on the beach. I love being by the pool. It's my favorite season. So yeah, it was a fun one. If I tag you down below and you've already done this tag, that's okay. But if you haven't, I would love to hear your answers. So let me know. Happy reading, and I'll see you on the next video.